Entitled dad walks out on kid during visitation because his job is more important to him. So this happened when I was recently divorced from my first husband and I only had my older son. My ex didn't want overnight custody because he worked 7 days a week, often 12 to 16 hours per day, but he had open visitations on weekends where as long as he gave me 2 hours notice, he could come out and take our son for 4 to 6 hours. At the time of this story, our son was 4. So generally, my ex would come out on a Sunday because that was his quietest day at work and the day he was least likely to get called into work. He was the lead network admin with a major local manufacturer at the time. He would show up around lunch and take our son into the mall, and they would go to Borders and pick out a book or a toy and then go to McDonald's and eat and go in the play area for a bit. The first time this happened was at McDonald's. My ex lives about 60 miles from me and the McDonald's is about 20 miles from my house, 40 miles from his, and close to 80 miles from where he works. He has a crazy long commute. They were in the play area and he got a call that there was an emergency at work and he needed to come in right away. Rather than bringing our son home and then going into work, he called me up and told me he had to go to work immediately and for me to come and pick up our son. I thought he meant he would wait there until I arrived, but no. When I got there, he was long gone and our son was still in the play area all by himself. Anyone could have figured out he was alone and grabbed him or called the cops. I was absolutely furious at my ex, but hey, that's why he is my ex, right? So, after this incident happened, I took him back to family court and petitioned for him to have supervised visitation only. It was granted, but lucky me, the court decided that since my ex and I were still on good terms, I had to be the supervisor. This isn't uncommon in my state. And I didn't want to be one of those bitchy ex-wives that won't let the father see the kids, so I agreed to it for my son's sake. So he would pick both of us up and take us to Borders and out to eat, just like he had done when it was just him and our son. And then the same thing happened again. We were all at Borders and my ex was wandering through the store while my son and I were in the kids section. We had arranged a time to meet and leave and I went looking for him and couldn't find him anywhere. I thought he was probably in the restroom or something, so I called his cell phone only to find out he had been called into work again and left without even telling us he was leaving. I had to call my parents 40 miles away to come and get us and take us home. I thought my dad was going to kill my ex when he found out what he had done. Hell, I wanted to myself. I went off on my ex big time and told him I wasn't going to put up with it anymore, and if he wanted to see our son, he would just have to come to our house and stay there with him for a few hours every weekend. The court backed me up on this one and the judge re-amped him out big time over taking off on us again. Especially when it came out in the court that half the time my ex had my son, he would just dump him with my ex-in-laws and gone to work, so he wasn't even the one with him during visitation. And my son told me later that my ex-mother-in-law was hitting him and refusing to feed him while he was at her house. That was pretty much the end of visitation. I'm since remarried. I have a younger son with my second husband, and my ex hasn't shown his face since 2010 of his own choice. He's now remarried with a 7-year-old son my son hasn't even met. His new wife doesn't want him to have anything to do with our son, so as far as he's concerned, the heck with us. And as far as I'm concerned, we're better off without him. Poetic justice though is that since our son is on the spectrum, my ex has to pay child support on him until he's 24, which is the longest it can go in my state. And considering he makes high 6 figures now, it's a hefty sum of money. I'm sure the second wife isn't happy about losing. So that's the story for today's video. A thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.